So I'll introduce myself if you don't know who I am already, but my name is Maurice Elliott, and I guess for a lot of years, I have basically kind of toiled under the sun, if you will, for commercial entities when it comes to commercial art. Now, I'm an artist of 30 years, but almost all of my work goes to, when you're a commercial artist, basically when you work for corporate, you basically are, in the business of drawing three lines. And what I mean by that is that when a company says they want three lines and they want one that's going to be kind of thin, one that's kind of tall, and one that wiggles, you've got to draw those three lines. And so it's not really about your personal art style so much as it's trying to understand with good communication on what the customer really wants, and then basically creating what is in the imagination of the client. And sometimes, you get different, adverse kind of experiences with that. Sometimes, you have someone who will micromanage the output or the fulfillment. They will micromanage that to the point where there's absolutely no, leeway for any kind of creativity. You just need to deliver whatever it is that they want. And then there's times where you get people who do not know what they want at all. And if you don't have some good communication to narrow down at least what the broadside of the barn is, you can waste a lot of time just coming up with things that they may or may not like. And so I guess my favorite kind of client that I always kind of worked for was the client that would kind of know what they wanted, but they wanted to give you a creative license inside of a box, so to speak, to, kind of deliver whatever it was that they wanted. But as a commercial artist of 30 years doing this, I am now at a position where I'm going to be able to finally, I think, or I hope at least, that I'll be able to spend, the majority of my time focusing on art that I want to do. And it actually was kind of perplexing at first, because at first I was thinking, well, what is really my artist style when I have 50 styles? Because when you're in commercial art, you really are a master of creating multiple styles so that you might meet all the different expectations from people who want your work. So in other words, they basically have this idea in their mind. They'll be online, they'll get these ideas, and you have to kind of embody that kind of a style in order to make your client happy. And so now, one of the things that, goes all the way back to when I was a teenager is that I wanted to create comics. And so, I wanted to do illustrated kind of novels or graphic novels, so forth. And, life happens. You have to make a living. And so now here I am, later in years, and I'm doing what I want, what I've always wanted to do. But what is my style? Really, what is my style? And then I am even challenged with, what is going to give me the most bang for my buck when it comes to my time footprint. What is my time investment? What am I going to get from that time investment? If I sit down and I spend, all week drawing the infinite panel in a comic book that is going to be this, masterpiece on every panel, well, you could spend a month of Sundays, a lifetime and a month of Sundays on just getting a single issue out the door. And really at that point, being a writer first, am I going to be able to really project a lot of stories that I want to project? So I have a story that I wrote about 7 or 8 years ago. It's called Telos Worlds. I wrote it as a rough outline, and then I began writing all the chapters in detail. And then all of a sudden, that comic book fever kind of creeped in, and so it's kind of taken over my mind. And so now I'm, developing a comic book based on this story that I've written. For the most part, it's half outline, half rough draft kind of a thing. But basically, what is going to be my style now to get this done, right? And so wearing a lot of different hats in commercial art, being a designer, I have a lot of skills with 2D. I have a lot of skills with 3D. I have a lot of skills with photo manipulation. I have a lot of, I can draw photorealistically. I can paint photorealistically. But at the same time, I have the power of 3D using Blender or using, any 2D app. And of course, I'm a big fan of open source software. But so I have this arsenal, right, that I've learned through the years to use. So what do I use? Which way do I go about it? And you're going to please different groups. So depending on how you do this, your writing obviously is going to, differentiate on who likes it. But, taste is subjective. But also, what kind of art style do people really like? Right. So I think you could get there's it's literally just, an array. It's differentiated, from one end of the spectrum to another. And so, here I am, I'm, older in years. And so, I want to get the most bang for the buck. And so what I'm going to be doing, it took a lot of travail, I think, to get to this point. But basically, I had to get to a place where I had to say to myself, well, what's going to give me the most artistic production power, with the knowledge base that I have, mixed with my writing skills, what's going to give me the most? So here I am, I'm trying to develop Telos Worlds. And so I have decided to do a mixture between 3D and 2D and some minor, just rough drawing skills integrated. And what that enables me to do is to develop an entire issue almost in a month's time. But at the same time, it's very important to me that I get a very original look, a very original kind of an art style, and an art style that is going to be, cohesive to what is not necessarily expected in the world of comic books, but at the same time, when you look at it, you're going to get a comic book experience. So I invite you to, read Telos Worlds. I would love to know what you think about it. And, I also understand this is an experiment. I'm going to hopefully do a lot of other projects also. And I may differentiate in my style. I may differentiate in how I go about doing it. But anyway, I do have my first release out that you can, I got some links below where you can click and read that. Hopefully my first issue will be done here in the very near future. But anyway, if you don't know anything about Telos Worlds, it's basically a metaverse dystopian kind of a story, and hopefully I'm bringing some very unique ingredients to this kind of a themed kind of story, and hopefully you'll get a fresh look on my graphic style as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoy my work, and I hope you enjoy Telos Worlds. Thank you.